Welcome back to another episode of Lost in the Farmer's Market Garden Shorts, where today we'll be talking about this plant in front of you. This one here. Its scientific name is Pelargonium crispum. It is known as lemon-scented geranium commonly, and yes, it is an actual geranium because it's actually in the Geraniaceae family. The Pelargonium should have been a giveaway, but you never know. Now, the word crispum refers to its crinkly leaf margins, and you've heard that botanical Latin before because on curled parsley, which is Petroselenium crispum, it also refers to the crinkly leaf margins. And crispum is going to be used a lot on things that are crinkly like that. So it's a common use like officinalis and vulgare and so forth. It's a widely used specific epithet. So, this plant is actually native to the Western Cape province of South Africa, which means it is not a hybrid. It is not a cultivar. This plant exists in nature. Now, it is hardy in USDA zones 10 and 11 as a perennial, and then 9 through 1 as an annual, unless you pot it up and bring it in for the winter. It cannot withstand freezing. So theoretically, it could be a perennial if you bring it in, but that's a technical perennial. Its soil pH preference is 6 to 6.8, while its exposure is partial sun, 4 to 6 hours of direct sunlight per day. Now, in the southeast, I would recommend doing that with morning sun and then giving it early morning sun, rather. So that'd be the first, direct rays of sun that hit it. And then making sure it gets partial shade for the rest of the day to, not full shade, but, you get my point. Well, anyway, so its height can be 2 feet and its spread can be 2 feet. And this specimen is just about as tall as it is wide, so you can see where that's going. Now, I'm just going to point out for propagation purposes, as I pointed out with the bedding geranium, cutting this long, with the leaf stripped off about the first half of it, and then the end dipped in rooting hormone, and then it put in substrate soil, preferably as sterile as you can make it, and then kept in a container. That soil does have to be moist, by the way. In a container where the humidity is maintained, will root in about 3 to 6 weeks if the air temperature is kept above 50 or the soil substrate is kept above 30. That's how you can clone this plant. Alternately, you can lay individual stems on the ground in a pot and then put a rock on it and then scratch the underside and maybe put rooting hormone in there and wait upwards of a month plus for it to root naturally that way. That is the alternatives for cloning it if you can't bring it in. Now beyond that, you can actually prune it back very heavily before you bring it in and dodge some of that. However, it's going to lose leaves, it's going to look awful, and then you see very little growth because all plants have a basic quote-unquote winter dormancy where there's very little growth. The roots might be doing something, but you're not going to see top growth because this plant's going, oh my god, I'm totally going to die. So anyway, skipping ahead on that, there are no alternative names for this plant that I know of. I wasn't able to find any, and honestly, none of my books had any, so there's that. However, I will point out that lemon-scented geranium is perhaps the most used geranium for cooking, because lemon flavors are very popular. Now, it says it's lemon-scented geranium, and a lot of people say it has flavor, and I haven't tested this yet. But then again, lemon verbena has flavor, and lemon thyme has flavor, so it's got to have some kind of flavor, and not just, oh, I ate a leaf. A lot of recipes call for making jams out of it and stuff, but I also saw a lemon-scented geranium ice cream recipe, so if those of y'all out there are into that, it's an option. So, actually my personal option is I want to make lemon-scented geranium iced tea so I can ward off August's ruthless heat. Anyway, there is one downside to this plant. Lemon-scented geraniums in no way, shape, or form repel mosquitoes. Get over it. They do not have enough of the lemony sort of scented citronella compound, if any at all, to do jack doodly squat. So I don't care what you read on the internet, I don't care what your friend's brother's roommate told you, they're not good at that. They're good at being in cooking. They're good at looking pretty. They're good to have around in general, but unfortunately, not going to help you with getting your blood sucked out by the flying IRS units. So, that's all I have for you for lemon-scented geraniums today. If you have any questions or comments about lemon-scented geraniums, and yes, perhaps like why did it take you so long to get to lemon-scented geraniums, honestly, it took forever for me to find good specimens of scented geraniums, period, and lemon was, you'll see what the other one is, but lemon-scented was the easiest to find. So, beyond that, if you like this episode, hit like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps the channel greatly. And if you look in the video description at the end, you will find a link to our forage blog where I cover forage foods. You know, these are things that the big agri and herbicide companies have declared weeds, but they're totally not. Things you can eat, including a few that I warn you are drop-dead poisonous and you shouldn't eat. So you know, because knowing is half the battle. I think I'm going to get sued for that joke, but whatever. Anyway, so thank you for watching, and as always, folks, keep them growing.